The ships didn't announce their arrival, they just appeared. Two American warships were cutting through the world's most dangerous waterway at dawn when, within minutes, Iranian Revolutionary Guard boats appeared and began circling them like sharks smelling blood. What happened next in the Strait of Hormuz didn't just shake the Middle East, it sent shockwaves through every oil market, trading floor and government war room on the planet. And the scariest part? Nobody's fully in control anymore. On April 11th, two Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyers, the USS Frank E. Peterson Jr. and the USS Michael Murphy, moved into position. They entered the Strait of Hormuz. To understand why this matters, it is helpful to consider the geography of the area. At its narrowest point, the Strait of Hormuz is just 21 miles wide. 21 miles. That's roughly the distance you'd drive to pick up groceries in a suburban town. In this case, however, both shores are lined with missile batteries, drone launch sites, and one of the most battle-hardened asymmetric naval forces on Earth. CENTCOM officially framed the mission as a mine-clearing operation. Routine, professional, by the book. But what happened in those waters was anything but routine. The moment those destroyers crossed into the strait, Iranian Revolutionary Guard naval units were on them. Fast boats, buzzing close, and radio channels crackling with a chilling message. This is your final warning. The American crews maintained their position, citing international law and ceasefire protocols. Then, at the height of the standoff, reports emerged that a drone directed by Iran had been shot down by U.S. forces. What was Tehran's official response? They claimed the ships had turned back. That America had blinked. Washington said nothing of the sort happened. Someone is lying. And in the Strait of Hormuz right now, that distinction could mean the difference between a tense incident and war. Here's something the headlines aren't spending enough time on. Beneath those warships, beneath the tankers, beneath the entire argument about who controls this strait, there are mines. There are mines. Not neatly placed, carefully mapped, or strategically controlled ones. Drifting mines. Iran's Revolutionary Guard deployed them quickly using small, fast boats and scattered them irregularly across the seabed. Moored contact mines. Magnetic and acoustic triggered mines. The most terrifying kind are the free-floating mines that have since been dragged miles from their original positions by the Gulf's powerful underwater currents. Here's the detail that keeps naval commanders awake at night. Iran has lost track of them. The monster they built is now wandering on its own. Iran cannot tell you exactly where those mines are. Neither can anyone else. This means that every ship entering the corridor, whether military or civilian, is essentially playing Russian roulette in slow motion. 3 supertankers did manage to cross the Strait of Hormuz following the ceasefire. 3. Out of the dozens that would normally pass through every single day, the world is watching those tankers as if they were defusing a bomb with every nautical mile. Now let's discuss Washington's next move. It's bigger than most people realize. After 21 hours of failed negotiations in Pakistan, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance came out swinging, saying that Iran had made a huge mistake. Then Donald Trump posted something on social media that quietly changed the entire conversation. The phrase being floated in press circles is the Out Blockade. This isn't just about clearing mines and reopening a shipping lane. What Trump appears to be signaling is something far more aggressive. The United States Navy physically taking control of the Strait of Hormuz. Not a corridor. Not a patrol. A blockade. One where American warships would decide which ships could enter or leave, and which could be stopped and searched. This would reduce Iran's influence over the strait to zero in one fell swoop. Trump himself was blunt about it. We will open that strait, even if we don't use it. The Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group is already in the region. F-35s and F/A-18S are on standby. There are Ticonderoga-class cruisers. P-8 Poseidon Maritime Patrol aircraft are scanning the water from above. If the blockade is activated, the U.S. military calculates that it could choke off roughly 70% of Iran's daily oil exports. That's not just a pressure tactic, it's an economic stranglehold. But here's where the story becomes genuinely tragic. If you can call a geopolitical catastrophe tragic, that is. Iran created this crisis as its ultimate trump card. The logic was simple. If you attack us, we will cut off 20% of the world's oil supply, and suddenly, you will have a problem. And for a while, it worked. Oil prices soared. insurance premiums multiplied overnight, ship owners added mine risk surcharges to every voyage. Global supply chains began to falter. However, Iran made one critical miscalculation. The pipeline runs through their territory too. Before this crisis, Iran was exporting around 1.5 million barrels of oil per day. Nearly all of this was transported through the Strait of Hormuz. Their own mines are now blocking their revenue stream. The weapon they pointed at the world economy is also aimed directly at their own face. The longer this situation continues, the most optimistic mine clearing estimates suggest it will take months rather than weeks. The more Iran will suffer. It's the ultimate strategic boomerang. There's no clean way out of it. Now, let's take a step back and consider what this actually means for the rest of the world. 20% of the world's oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz every single day. Not just some of it, not occasionally, every day, single day. China's factories are reducing production. Japan's refineries are burning through their strategic reserves. South Korea's petrochemical sector is seeking alternative suppliers. India, one of the world's fastest-growing energy consumers, is seeing its import costs spiral. Europe, already fragile after years of energy disruption, is facing another unplanned crisis. And it's not just oil, natural gas, fertilizers, plastics, chemical feedstocks. The Hormuz corridor carries the raw materials for entire industries. If it becomes blocked, it's not just the price at the petrol station that increases. You pay more for food, for medicine, for electronics. Construction materials become more expensive too. Global inflation was already high. The situation in Hormuz turns that from a headache into a structural wound. Yes, alternative routes exist. You can go around the Cape of Good Hope. You could try pushing more through the Suez Canal. However, the Cape adds 10 days to the journey and doubles fuel costs. And Suez? It is already operating at capacity and is still haunted by Houthi threats in the Red Sea. There is no easy detour. The world built its energy logistics around the Strait of Hormuz, and now it's paying the price for that dependency. Now, here's the part that nobody wants to say out loud. While Iran is in turmoil and the US is deploying naval assets across the Persian Gulf, while Europe is in a state of panic and Asian markets are in disarray, one country is sitting back and smiling: Russia. With oil prices above $118 a barrel, the Western price cap on Russian exports has effectively been destroyed. Desperate for supply, European and Asian buyers are quietly ignoring sanctions to keep their industries running. The Kremlin's coffers are filling up faster than at almost any time since the war in Ukraine began. But it goes deeper than oil prices. Russia has spent years and trillions of rubles developing the Northern Sea Route, an Arctic shipping lane connecting Asia and Europe that is completely independent of the Middle East. No mines, no Revolutionary Guard, no Houthi drones. The crisis in the Strait of Hormuz has made the Northern Sea Route look even more appealing. Each week that the Strait of Hormuz remains dangerous, and each shipping company that begins to consider alternative routes is a potential customer for Russia's Arctic passage, complete with nuclear icebreaker escorts. Then there's the military dimension to consider. Moscow and Beijing are taking meticulous notes on every US naval deployment in the Gulf, every destroyer being repositioned from the Pacific, every aircraft carrier group diverted from European waters. This live intelligence on American military capacity is being used to calculate risk in Taiwan, the Baltic, and every other flashpoint that Washington is supposedly watching simultaneously. Iran thinks it's fighting America. In reality, it's handing Russia the keys to the next decade of geopolitics. So, where does this end? Perhaps the autonomous underwater drones will do their job. Perhaps they will quietly map and neutralize the minefield centimeter by centimeter over the coming weeks. Perhaps the safe corridor will open. Perhaps the tanker convoys will start moving again, under the protection of the Abraham Lincoln Strike Group, and the world will breathe a sigh of relief. Or maybe Iran doesn't back down. Maybe the negotiations remain deadlocked. Perhaps Trump will activate the Out Blockade. Then we'd be in completely uncharted waters, both literally and figuratively, where a single missile, a single miscalculation, or a ship hitting an unknown mine could trigger a crisis that would make everything we've seen so far look like a warm-up. The Strait of Hormuz has always been important. Right now, it is everything. The 21 miles of water between order and catastrophe have never felt so narrow. To stay ahead of developments, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the US blockade strategy will work? Or has this crisis now become uncontrollable? We'll be watching. We'll be back.